Do you believe those medals grant you permission to disregard a direct order? Judge Amelia Harper's voice cut through the hushed courtroom, her impeccably styled blonde hair catching the glow of the overhead lights. Every gaze was fixed on her, the youngest judge in the circuit, renowned for her striking appearance, sharp intellect, and unwavering intolerance for disobedience. Opposite her stood a figure in a worn military uniform, Sergeant Edward Ed Marshall, 68, his broad shoulders unbowed despite the years. A jagged scar ran along his cheek, a relic of battles past, his lips quivering faintly, though his eyes held steady, unyielding. "I asked you a question," she pressed, leaning forward, her gavel hovering like a weapon. "I heard it," he responded at last, his voice low but firm. "And I stand by my decision." Whispers stirred through the courtroom. What decision? Why would a decorated veteran defy a judge? That morning, Judge Harper had issued a straightforward directive. All veterans in her jurisdiction were to attend a community service event, a single afternoon speaking to high school students about duty and patriotism. Most complied. Marshall refused. "I don't share war tales for show," he'd told her. She'd countered. "We need to show these kids who the real heroes are. This is bigger than your ego." Yet he stood firm, and now they faced off in open court. Judge Harper, visibly irritated, pressed further. "Sergeant Marshall, do you understand that your refusal could be deemed contempt of court?" He nodded. "I do. You're willing to face jail, to be held in contempt, just because you won't speak to some teenagers?" He drew a slow, deliberate breath. "With all due respect, ma'am, I've already spent more than my share of time behind bars." The room fell silent. Then, in a near whisper that caught everyone off guard, she asked, "Why?" Marshall met her gaze, not as a judge, but as a human being, a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "You want the truth?" She nodded. "I was 19 when I cradled my first dying friend," he began. His name was Danny. He'd just turned 20. Back home, he had a fiancée named Sophie and a college scholarship waiting. We were ambushed outside Da Nang. One moment, he was laughing about a letter from home. The next, I was wiping his blood off my hands. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. His voice wavered but held. That day, I learned what it means to carry ghosts. Every time I'm asked to give a speech, to inspire, I see Danny and the 50 others who never got to grow old. I'm not defying you out of pride. I'm shielding their memory from being reduced to a soundbite. Harper blinked, clearly affected, but duty held her firm. "We all carry burdens, Sergeant. I lost my father in Desert Storm. I still fulfill my responsibilities." He met her eyes unflinchingly. "Then you know why I must honor mine." A heavy pause followed, a collision of pride, pain, and principle. Then, in a move no one anticipated, Judge Harper descended from the bench. She crossed the courtroom floor slowly, standing before Marshall, not as a judge, not as an authority, but as a daughter. "My father never came home," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "But I used to imagine he would. And when I pictured that moment, I saw a man like you." She steadied herself. This wasn't about punishment. It was about honoring those who survived, because too many, like my dad, didn't. "I thought mandating it was the right call." Marshall's eyes shimmered. She extended her hand. "I'm not your judge in this moment. I'm just someone asking, not for speeches, not for stories, but for your presence. You standing before those students could teach them more about sacrifice than words ever could." The courtroom held its breath. Marshall studied her hand, then her eyes. Slowly, he reached out, and they shook hands. "I'll go," he said, "but I won't speak. I'll stand. That's all." "That's enough," she whispered. The bailiff dabbed his eyes. A journalist fumbled her notebook. The audience, once poised to judge or jeer, rose to their feet in a slow, powerful standing ovation. Something shifted in Judge Harper that day. She'd entered the room wielding authority, but left having earned respect. True leadership isn't rooted in power, it's forged in humility. And courage isn't confined to battlefields. Sometimes, it stands quietly in courtrooms, bearing ghosts with dignity. Before we close this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. If this tale moved you, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave a karma in the comments below.